Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing Evil West, an action-packed adventure game developed by Flying Wild Hog. The game takes players on a journey through a supernatural Wild West setting, filled with thrilling battles, absurd weaponry, and a wide range of upgrades. So, whether you're a fan of classic vampire hunting games or just looking for an exciting action-packed adventure, Evil West may be just the game you're looking for. In my perspective, the thought of an imaginary apocalypse caused by vampires, werewolves, and zombies taking over the real world doesn't excite me as much as the one portrayed in Evil West. The game's use of Tesla-inspired electricity weapons, excessive violence, and gore made it a thrilling and enjoyable monster-killing experience. However, the game's repetitive structure also made it predictable and monotonous. Evil West is an action game with a linear campaign lasting about 12 hours, divided into 16 missions that all share a similar structure. Each mission has a clear start and end point, with collectibles and gold pouches known as bucks scattered throughout. However, the primary focus of the game is moving from one fight to another, with enemies attacking until you reach the next cutscene. Although you can explore levels to find lore items and bucks for upgrades, the primary goal is to progress through combat and reach the boss battle at the end. The game's environments are visually stunning, with picturesque backdrops that range from outlandish to beautiful and could even bring a tear to a cowboy's eye. Evil West follows a formulaic approach in most of its levels, with few exceptions like a thrilling mine cart sequence or some base camp segments that reveal the story through exposition. The game centers around Jesse Rentier, an individual who works for the Rentier Institute, an organization founded by his father with a mission to hunt and eliminate various supernatural beings, including vampires. The game developer, Flying Wild Hogs, embraced the idea of the Wild West, but weird and created a world with floating pyramids, hellish portals, and unsettling characters like demonic little girls with eerie voices. The game's story is filled with colorful language and distinct characters like Amelia Blackwell, an opinionated doctor, that keeps the players engaged. However, despite the game's fun elements, the storyline lacks complexity as it mostly revolves around Jesse's quest for revenge. Throughout the gameplay of Evil West, players unlock various weapons, powers, and upgrades that add new dimensions to Jesse's abilities. For instance, players can increase the pistol's magazine capacity, electrify the rifle's damage, and add new skills like ground pounds and aerial combos to diversify their arsenal. The continuous expansion of combat techniques serves to break the monotony of Evil West's levels. There is seldom a period of more than 20 minutes during which the players don't discover a new skill, modify an existing weapon with a novel effect, or come across a new gadget to dismember enemies in creative and satisfying ways. Aside from the continual evolution of the game's mechanics, combat in Evil West is fast-paced and exhilarating. Players can swiftly traverse the map, stun enemies, and then proceed to execute a melee combo, uppercutting foes into the air before slamming them back down to the ground in a pool of gore. Alternatively, players can charge up their rifle with a potent electric beam that bounces between enemies, finishing them off with a flamethrower. The array of weaponry available is absurd but enjoyable, and players can easily switch between them on the fly since each weapon has its own designated button and cooldown timer, requiring no ammunition or bullet tracking. Players can effortlessly switch between weapons, waiting for their cooldowns to expire while using a different tool to keep the combat flowing. One aspect of Evil West's combat that becomes tedious over time is the lack of enemy diversity. The sluggish, slow-moving zombies with telegraphed swings fail to pose any real challenge, and even the aggressive hulking monsters with shields lose their impact after the initial encounters. During the most frenzied battles, it becomes challenging to discern what's happening on the screen as the enemies blend together, becoming indistinguishable amid the blood and mud. Additionally, the subtle notification arrow indicating an incoming attack is easy to miss in the midst of a heated battle. The game's overuse of the same enemies is particularly noticeable with the larger health sponge enemies, which Evil West sometimes reuses as mini-bosses in later levels. These foes may even attack in groups in subsequent encounters, resulting in a frenzied spectacle of violence. However, since every combat encounter takes place in a circular arena with limited dodge and strafe movements, a cluster of foes with extensive health bars can test one's patience. Without a jump button or variation in the layout of combat scenarios, every fight becomes monotonous, despite the diverse arsenal at your disposal. Ultimately, every battle devolves into an indistinguishable pile of goo. While the game's battles may ultimately blend together, Evil West remains an enjoyable experience that allows players to indulge in mindless monster slaying. The game is repetitive, predictable, and unoriginal in many ways, but players may overlook these issues due to the sheer fun of killing monsters. In this regard, Evil West shares a lot of similarities with Flying Wild Hog's previous title, Shadow Warrior 3, which emphasizes action-packed gameplay and downplays other areas where it falls short. Ultimately, both games prioritize what matters most, leading to a satisfying experience that players can enjoy without overthinking. Evil West is a thrilling action game that brings back the nostalgia of classic vampire hunting games while adding its own unique touch to the genre. The game is an old-school, action-packed adventure that prioritizes what matters most: intense combat and a vast selection of entertaining weaponry. The game's combat system is smooth, and the weapons are absurdly satisfying, which makes it difficult to put the controller down. However, as the game progresses, the lack of enemy variety and similar level layouts can become repetitive, leading to a sense of monotony that may leave players feeling a bit underwhelmed. Despite its shortcomings, Evil West manages to provide an exhilarating experience, which makes it a fun escape for those who want to indulge in mindless monster slaying. While it's not the most innovative or complex game, it fulfills its mission of being a fun, action-packed adventure that's worth playing. Evil West's absurd weaponry and frantic combat mechanics have the potential to keep players engaged for hours, leaving them with a sense of satisfaction after each completed mission. Evil West's combat system is undoubtedly one of its strongest suits. The game's selection of weaponry, smooth combat mechanics, and electrifying battles make for a thrilling experience. Players can execute a variety of moves, including ground pounds, aerial combos, and electrically charged shots. Additionally, players can unlock a variety of powers and upgrades that add new dimensions to their abilities, keeping the combat fresh and exciting. However, as players progress through the game, they may find that the combat starts to feel repetitive. The lack of enemy variety and similar level layouts may leave players feeling underwhelmed and hinder the game's overall experience. Additionally, the game's storyline may lack complexity, with the plot revolving mainly around Jesse's quest for revenge. Despite these issues, Evil West offers a visually stunning experience, with picturesque backdrops and visually appealing environments that range from the outlandish to the beautiful. The game's distinct characters, including the fiercely opinionated Dr. Emilia Blackwell, add a unique touch to the story. Overall, Evil West offers an enjoyable and entertaining experience for players who want to indulge in mindless monster slaying. While it may not be the most innovative or complex game out there, it delivers a fun, action-packed adventure that's worth playing. The game's electrifying battles, absurd weaponry, and beautiful environments make it an engaging experience that's sure to keep players entertained. So, if you're looking for a game that prioritizes intense combat and an absurd selection of weaponry, Evil West is definitely worth checking out.